And now you can see the Anime and Alcohol Show in all its video glory on our YouTube page at roughedge.tv. For the very best breakfasts, lunches, and cocktails, visit Harbor Cove Cafe, the hidden treasure at the end of Spinnaker Drive in the Ventura Harbor. Open 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day. Harbor Cove Cafe, located at 1867 Spinnaker Drive in the Ventura Harbor. For more information, visit harborcovecafe.net or give them a call at 805-658-1639. We'll see you there. It's Sunday morning, 8 a.m. That means it's time to drink some beer and talk some anime and other stuff. This is the Anime and Alcohol Show, live here on Rough Edge FM with your host, Devin Crow. Devin would just say he hates that picture.
I fucking hate that picture.
Which means it'll stay forever.
Yeah, probably.
Forever.
Well, good morning.
Yes, indeed. It is a Sunday morning, time for Anime and Alcohol, and we have a very interesting beer here today, a Sierra Nevada Trail Pass.
Ooh, fun.
Trail Pass. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. You know what I forgot to mention on last week's show?
What's that?
We forgot to talk about the Devil May Cry series.
We said we did, according to the show notes.
Yeah. We had pictures and stuff for it, and then I remembered. I was like, we were so like on a roll with everything we were talking about. I completely forgot to actually talk about the Devil May Cry series on Netflix.
All right, well, let's talk about it because there's been some controversy. I sent you a review that
my God,
you didn't exactly care for too much.
God, what was that review too? That was I remember you said it to me, and then I read over the review, and I was like, God, that guy was a fucking little bitch.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it said, but
so the Devil May Cry series aired on Netflix. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. The thing is like, so they so in the Devil May Cry video games, Dante is the main character of most of them. And he's kind of a smooth talking ladies man in the video game. And he's a bit of a troll. He's a bit of a clown, a joker kind of situation, but he's got like a Rico Suave to him, And in the series, a lot of people are complaining in the series, he's a bit more childish, and he wasn't very childish in the series or in the video game. And that's what people are saying. But like, I mean, I didn't think they did a bad job with it at all. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was the same people that did, it's not an anime, it's a cartoon. It's the same people that did Castlevania. Oh, yeah, there's the article. Yeah, pull that shit up. Let's see.
I pulled it up. This is the article. The headline is...
I'm a huge Devil May Cry fan, and that's why I have a problem with this anime. As long as I can remember, this is from Screen Rant, by the way. I've always been a huge Devil May Cry fan. The stylish action only got better with each installment, combined with the story that stuck to a great balance between cheesy and having a general heart. Oh, he's pulling up the image of the series.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize this one. Okay, go ahead.
Hard. So I imagine when it was announced as getting a new anime, the series would be made the same team behind Castlevania and the marketing, blah, 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 blah. That did not come to pass. However, Netflix's Devil May Cry, while not being without merit, was ultimately a disappointment for me. And there are plenty of reasons why I felt that way.
I'm just going through the headlines, and you can comment on each headline here. So here's the next one.
Devil May Cry looks like every action anime, and that's disappointing.
What do you think about that?
Of course, it's a fucking action anime. What?
That's how it's supposed to look.
It's supposed to be an like what?
Okay, next headline.
Devil May Cry's world and story might as well be its own IP.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the next headline.
Devil May Cry's political elements would be out of place even if it were written well. There's always a political balance issue in fucking Devil May Cry, because like it's about angels and demons and shit like that. And then Dante's kind of this, no nonsense,
All right, let's see the next headline.
I could be less excited for Devil May Cry season 2. Okay, that's your fucking opinion. Like,
Devin's response to me was typical whiny reviewer. Boo-hoo, it's not what I wanted, so I'm going to shit on everything.
that was my reply to that.
But go ahead with your review now. So what did you talk about? How
Like,
much
is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But like, is it enjoyable to watch? Yes, it is. You know, if you don't, I wasn't a huge fan of the Devil May Cry video game series. It's an action style video game, hack and slash kind of video game. I don't like it's Capcom, and I don't like where like every level is essentially like a mission, you know, and you get after you complete the level, because like you complete the level, they're not timed, but they time you on the level kind of situation, you know.
Okay.
And at the end of the level, something pops up and goes, oh fucking this that, and then you like this many kills, this is how long it took you, and then blah blah blah, and then you get a grade at the end of it.
So there's stats that lead to a grade.
Yeah, for some reason I don't like that element in video games. I've never really liked that element in video games. I don't like feeling graded after everything I do on, like, after every story mission. I don't like that feeling. I don't know if it's just like me not doing well in school, and you know, but
So why am I taking a test when I'm playing a game?
Correct. You know, so that when I see that, it always frustrates me, because it's just like, I don't want to be graded after every fucking mission I do. You know, if you want to give me a final grade at the end of the game, that's great. But I feel like when that comes up, it kind of breaks the immersion of the video game. Like, mission complete, and then it's like, boop, 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 you did it in 10 minutes, and boop, 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 you killed this many enemies, and boop, 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 you did it in this many, you know, took this many hits, and boop, 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 oh, you got a C grade. And you're like, well, I kind of feel like I did better than a C grade, you know? Like,
it actually gives you like an A, B, C, D.
It go A, B, C, D, S, and then double S, and then sometimes games offer like a triple S ranking.
So no F?
No.
Oh, there needs to be an F in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, D, I think D, you know, that, yeah, kind of thing. I don't know if there's F ranking or shit like that, but like, again, I don't feel like being graded after every fucking mission I do. And so that always, you know, I like that, like, you complete a mission and then a cutscene happens and then you start the next mission kind of thing, you know, because you're still in that immersion. I think it's very immersion breaking to like just throw up game stats, you know, and then give you a grade on it and like, oh, thanks fucking teacher.
Exactly.
You know, so, you know, and I know, and that works for a lot of people. A lot of people really like that, you know,
I'll give them an excuse to go back and play again and try to do better.
Exactly. Yeah. It adds a bit of replayability, but for me, it's just immersion breaking.
Annoying,
yeah, it's just annoying. So
okay, so the game is that way. The show is a little different.
The show, you know, follows the same thing about demons, and you know, I'm assuming the vice president, you know, because of the political aspect, I'm assuming the vice president is an angel, because he is very evangelical, and he's like, I will not die here because the will of the Lord says I won't die here, and this and that, and he almost seems kind of immune to, you know, damage kind of situation. So, you know, when they do the second season, I'm sure, you know, and Dante was always like this, you know, like he would fight angels and demons. He didn't give a fuck kind of thing, and he's, you know, half demon and so on and so forth. So, but you know, there was a really strange episode too that had like really weird animation that covered the story behind the guy that has the rabbit face. And then at the same time, it also covered the female protagonist in the show as well. So, oh God, yeah. Scotty just typed something in that. Yeah.
We're getting ready.
We're getting ready for that
review.
Yeah, Minecraft review. I saw Minecraft yesterday, but like overall, it is an enjoyable show to watch.
So why are people complaining about like that guy? I mean, and what's the balance actually? Is getting mostly good reviews? Is it getting mostly bad reviews?
Honestly, I don't know.
Let's see if Rotten Tomatoes has it on there. It might.
But like Selena was like watching it the other day, and she's like, I have a problem with this series, and I was like, what? And she's like, they made Dante too goofy, and I was like, well, yeah, he wasn't as. I mean, it's got a 96.
96 from the critics, but only a 63 from the popcorn, which is the audience.
Which is the audience.
And by the way, I think that's too easily manipulated. I'm losing a lot of faith in the people meter. the audience meter.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty accurate. There was really no reason for it to be review bombed other than it not being like the video game
that's
series.
a good enough reason for a lot of people.
You know, and again, like Selena was complaining that Dante was a bit too goofy and a bit too childish in it.
And did you think that's the case?
He was a little childish. Yeah, he wasn't as like, he was kind of a cool collective troll in it, and he was a bit more goofy. Funny enough, the voice actor, because it's in English, the voice actor for Dante was actually played the main character in Devil May Cry 4, who was not Dante, and I can't remember what that character's name was, but you played as another character in Devil May Cry 4. You played as Dante as well, but you followed a different storyline. And he played when he was, I think it was Johnny Bosch that played it, and I was like, that's not Dante's original voice. And then so I Googled it, and I was like, because I'm like, this guy sounds like he's from the Devil May Cry series. I just can't remember who he played. And then I was like, oh yeah, he played the main character in
I wonder what's up with that. If they're going with some of them, why didn't they go with all of
them? Probably.
Is it stars?
Availability.
Are they using big names in there for the voices? That might be also, they always try to throw those big names in to get people to pay attention. I kind of doubt that, but let's take a look and see just in case. Because I want to, sometimes they'll throw in big names just to have big names, but it doesn't look like, people that you may recognize, Johnny Young Bosch, Scout Taylor Compton, Hoon Lee, any of those names ring a bell?
No, well, Johnny Young Bosch, yeah, he's a very famous,
Kevin Conroy, we all know Kevin Conroy.
What?
Yeah, Kevin Conroy.
He's dead.
Well, it was probably pre-production stuff,
Died years ago.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe it's AI.
Weird.
Am I the right thing?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Kevin Conroy, Chris Coppola. So the Francis Ford Coppola family's involved. I don't know that. Anyway, so that's not the case. I'm just curious why they decided to use different voices like that. Very strange.
Yeah. But anywho, I saw the Minecraft movie last night.
Yes, you did. You and about 3 billion other people. Apparently.
It was a full theater, by the way.
Yeah,
it was a very full theater.
As of today, that movie has grossed on a $150 million budget, $434 million.
So it's made its money back.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
It's well on its way to $1 billion. It might make $1 billion. It's going to be number one by a long shot this weekend.
Yeah. So I saw the Minecraft movie yesterday. I saw the 7:30 showing on a Saturday. So just to get an idea of and so the I was aware of the whole chicken jockey incidences that were happening in movie theaters, and they were having.
Explain it for people who don't.
So I was getting there.
I'm sorry. You said you were familiar.
So the chicken jockey scene gained a lot of popularity in the internet world, and it got kind of out of hand. And people in the theater were like throwing their drinks and throwing popcorn buckets when the chicken jockey scene would come on. And so yeah. And so it was a very full theater. And then, right before the movie was about to start, this group of four guys, they were younger. I want to call them kids because I'm old now, but they came in and they were wearing creeper masks, and they had they each had 2 buckets of popcorn each. And I was like, God fucking damn it.
We knew it was coming.
We knew it was going to come. So.
And by the way, great way to use your $12 worth of popcorn is throwing it in the air.
Yeah. And they came in, and someone must have complained about them because prior, I would say 30 or 40 minutes before that scene, security came in, and I was watching, I was watching them because the staff came in. Also, someone was throwing something in front of the projector because you kept seeing a shadow come up. So I'm assuming that was also them. And because they were at the very tippy top of the theater,
right there by the window,
and they security came in and said something, pointed at them and then said something, and so and then the movie was playing, and then the chicken jockey scene came on, and everyone cheered when Jack Black goes chicken jockey, the whole theater fucking
erupted
with chicken jockey, and clapping. And then they snuck in those super long party poppers that you twist, and they're loud. Those things are loud and popped. And here's the thing. I didn't mind it that much, but the thing is those things are loud, and you're in a movie theater with a crowd full of people are going to think that's a gunshot.
Well, exactly.
And what's funny? No one, there was a family that was in the top row, and they're the main ones that complained. They brought like 2 babies with them to the movie theater. And I'm not saying if you have babies, don't go to the movie theater.
I am.
But you know what? If you have babies, wait a little bit longer to when the hype is a little bit lower and there's less people. The theater's a little more empty. The
chicken jockey is faded.
Yes, and the chicken jockey fad is faded. I'm not saying don't go and enjoy movies. I'm not saying spend a shit ton on a babysitter. Bring your kids with you, but wait till the hype has died down with it a little bit.
Especially on something that might be controversial like that.
Yes,
because of what's going on in the theater.
And so there's a really amazing scene. I actually didn't want to see the movie. But they made an amazing tribute to a Minecraft YouTuber that died of cancer.
You were talking about that last week. We did mention that.
Yes.
Or at least you mentioned it to me.
The Technoblade. And there's a scene where they're in the village and the kid goes, "What's with the pig with the crown?" I see the king of the village. And, Steve, who Jack Black plays, goes, "No, that's a legend," and it was a really amazing tribute to that YouTuber who passed away, because he was a very famous Minecraft YouTuber, very skilled and so on and so forth. And I thought that was really awesome. That's the scene there. I thought that was a really amazing tribute to him.
For them to think of that.
Yeah. And they did have a lot of, there was a storage auction scene. And everybody in the storage auction scene was a famous Minecraft YouTuber.
Nice, very smart.
So they invited them out for that scene, and they didn't actually say anything. They just kind of stood there. And so
that makes it even more special though, because the people who know.
But here's the thing: that movie was hilarious. It was hilarious. It was super cheesy and corny, which is exactly what I think they were going for. I wouldn't call it quite brain rotty. But I mean, everybody's character was hilarious. Everybody's character was hilarious, and it worked so well in the movie.
I've also heard that Jason Momoa and Jack Black are at the peak of their game, and they're having so much fun on screen that it can't help to spread to the audience.
Here's the thing: it looked authentic. The fun they were having looked authentic, and Jason Momoa plays this, very much like a Billy Mitchell type character, where he was like a pro video game player as a kid in 1989, and he got this name, the Garbage Man, and he's kind of living that life from 1989, and he runs this vintage video game store and all this other shit, and it was really funny, and while Jason Momoa is kind of the main star, it feels like everybody kind of plays their own part and gets their own screen time, and everyone has their own kind of unique abilities in there that all shine within the movie. It's not just shadowed by one character, because Jason Momoa is massive, Jack Black's massive, and then there's 3 other people in the movie who you really don't know who the fuck they are. Except for the sister. I didn't know who she was, but Letitia knew who she was. That's the woman in the top right there. I didn't know who she was, but Letitia was like, "Oh, that so-and-so person." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
And it's somebody she recognized from.
Yeah.
See if we can find out who that is. Let me ask you this while I'm looking for this. What if somebody knows nothing about Minecraft and they go to see this movie? Are they going to get into it and enjoy it?
I think they will enjoy. I think they'll enjoy the movie.
It's easy enough to follow.
Yes,
you don't know anything
it's
else
super funny. Emma Myers? No, is that her? Click on her.
Natalie, is that the character?
Yes, I think so. Yes, Emma Myers.
And Emma Myers is from Wednesday. A good guy.
Oh, that's the girl that played the werewolf in Wednesday.
There you go.
Oh, okay. because it's so she's the sister of the young boy, and they're introduced in the beginning of the show because their parents passed away, and they're moving to this small town in Idaho, and I was like, man, she looks like really young to be like moving away. She looked like 15 in this movie, but apparently she's 20 something in real life or something like that. But
I mean, she's gonna have a long career.
Yeah. So, but if you're not into the Minecraft scene, like into the video game and stuff, you would 100% enjoy this movie.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job by not alienating the true fans of Minecraft, but also not alienating people who know nothing about Minecraft. Yeah, like if you're just a big fan of Jason Momoa and you want to support like Jason Statham, you go see all the Jason Statham movies, whether they suck or not.
Right.
Working
man.
Yeah. But so like it was very enjoyable. Yeah. Like if you're not a big Minecraft fan, don't see it right now. Definitely wait 2 or 3 weeks for it to all settle down and then go enjoy. And
it'll be there 2 or 3 weeks because it's just making the serious coin. I mean, there's other movies that are coming out, and they're there's some big ones. I told my wife the other day, I said, you know what? Here's the point. I'm going to be at the movies every week this until after summer.
Yeah.
Because every week there's something new I want to see. There's 2 movies this week I want to see.
Yeah.
So this is good. This is good for the movies. It's good for everything. So I'm glad that it's doing as well as it did, and I'm glad for both Jason Momoa, who's coming off a couple of struggles. I mean, he did have the Fast and the Furious movies. Sure, that's true. But the Aquaman series fizzled, and I'm glad for Jack Black, who had to terminate Tenacious D, and wondered how that was going to affect him. Well, apparently not too much.
Not too much. Apparently,
he's so great anyway.
The African American woman is from Orange Is the New Black.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I recognize
Danielle Brooks.
I can't see her. She's excellent, by the way.
Yeah. So, but it's a fantastic show. But like, if you have young kids, and I mean, like Minecraft, because Minecraft is a very vanilla game, and there's a lot of people that play that game, especially I want to sound stereotypical, but a lot of autistic people play Minecraft. It is, it's a very stimulating game, and it's very beneficial for people with autism that play that game because it's very stimming and
good, and
it keeps their focus, and also a lot of creativity. Obviously, the game is based around creativity, and they really embrace that aspect as well. In the show, in the movie, there was a lot of autistic people in that theater.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of older autistic people.
Well, that's great. That's good.
And since Minecraft has been around for 20, 30, 20 years at least.
A long time.
There's a very large fan base of Minecraft. So, but I would highly recommend if you have young kids, especially kids that are sensitive to sounds and things like that, definitely wait to go see the movie because there's a lot of,
there's a time and a place for that. It's like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I know most of you probably don't even know that movie, but it was a midnight movie that there was audience interaction.
Yeah.
Something took place in the screen. Like in one scene, somebody holds up a glass and says, "A toast," and people in the audience would throw toast.
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing. But you did that at the midnight show. You didn't do that at every screening.
Yeah. The other thing is there was a lot of crowd interaction, a lot of cheering and a lot of scenes and stuff like that.
Good.
And after they actually had the police come and kick one of the people out that was, and it was definitely not just one person. It was a group of them, and they only kicked one guy out that they confirmed actually did it. After the movie ended, we were waiting for the after credits and stuff, and staff was coming up, and they actually collected 5 more of those popper things, unpopped ones, and there was 3 cans of silly string. And here's the thing, if they just did silly string, I would have been perfectly fine with that. Yes, it's messy, kind of douchey to the people that work there, but it's not loud.
Right.
It's not obnoxious. It's funny. It's not buckets of popcorn and their drinks that they're throwing all over the place. I would have had I didn't really mind the poppers either, but I completely understand the concern with that because it is a very loud, jostling sound, in there. But if they just did silly string, I would have been fine with that. That would have been funny. That would have been, again, douchey to the people that work there, but
and the people around you. And
well, again, but it's just silly string, Yeah.
Well, no, I see the difference. Silly string is a hiss.
Yeah.
Whereas those things are like, should they get in the floor and protect the children?
Yeah, exactly. So, So yeah, but it was an entertaining movie, and like there was a lot of crowd interaction. You know, there's another scene where Jack Black goes flint and steel, and that's a meme. On the
there's
internet.
a lot of meme mentions.
There's a lot of they turn it into a meme
Oh,
for
is that
the
what it is?
yeah they turned it into a
From
meme.
the movie? Oh.
Yeah, that came from the movie. So like,
And see, that's the thing. Flint and steel, much better line than lock and load, which is used in a working man.
yeah, yeah. So but yeah, so I highly recommend seeing the movie.
Okay,
It's definitely
everybody's with you. The reviews are good for it, and it's going to be summer's. It already is the biggest movie.
and they're 100% making a second one.
Oh, there's no question.
Oh, there's no question. There was so at the there's some after credit scenes where they introduce another Minecraft character in there, and so
well, that would have been meaningless if it hadn't been for the box office.
You know what was funny?
I think Borderlands hinted at a sequel too, and how's that coming?
Yeah, yeah. The vice principal in the Minecraft movie, she's the same chick from Best in Show.
Which one?
God, I can't remember her name.
We'll find out, folks.
Yeah,
it's our job here. Okay, we need the cast. And she's the teacher, you said? Jennifer Coolidge?
Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh, yeah.
And
she's hysterical.
Yes. See, it was funny is that she was talking about her divorce. She's like, I'm an open book. And she's talking about her divorce. And she goes, the divorce wouldn't have been as difficult if it wasn't for the 5 dogs. And I was like, oh my God, was that like a Best in Show reference?
It might have been. Yeah.
You know?
It might have been.
So, yeah. But Jennifer Coolidge is hilarious.
She is always funny as hell.
Yeah.
She was in White Lotus and she was the whole series at that point.
Yeah.
Let's do our beer. You ready?
Yeah.
It's time for our beer of the week. This week we have a Trail Pass from Sierra Nevada, brought to you by Crow's Pest Solutions. If you're looking for pest solutions, and you will be this summer, contact Devin Crow at, you can just email him here or whatever. And Devin, what's the best way to get hold of you for Crow's Pest Solutions?
Devin at crowspestsolutions.com.
Devin at crowspestsolutions.com. Send him an email. He'll set you up. Come out and take care of your problems. Now, before you drink that beer, I want you to pay very close attention to the label.
Okay. Put my headphones back on. Okay. Oh, wow. That was the first thing I saw.
What is that?
Sierra Nevada. This is Trail Pass IPA. It is non-alcoholic.
Non-alcoholic.
What the fuck are you doing, man?
Well, look at the sticker that's on it. That's what I'm doing.
75 cents. Is this even worth 75 cents?
Came from the clearance bin. I don't know. I've had some decent boozeless IPAs. Not that I'm going to choose them over the other ones, but they've been decent. So I'm curious about this one, but I'm thinking I'm probably out.
Look, here's the thing. I don't drink beer for the flavor, okay?
Then you're going to be out of luck on this one.
Yeah, I drink beer for the fact that it makes me forget that my life sucks at times. And you know what's funny? I haven't been drinking a whole lot of beer, so I guess that means my life doesn't suck.
Your life has taken a change for the better recently, so that's
what up, Radio Nuka? Yeah, non-alcoholic, right?
Yeah, that's what we're trying.
Yeah. So this is oh wait, do we have a picture? I'll just show it on there.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
W Life Improvements, right?
So as you can see, it does look like beer.
It does.
It's a little thin maybe, but looks like beer. It's got a tiny little head on it.
It also kind of looks like when you piss in a cup.
Thanks for that visual.
Yeah.
All right. So chin chin.
Chin chin.
Let's give it a smell first. Smells like a beer.
Dude, it smells like weed.
Well, that's the hops. It's heavy on the hops.
Yeah.
According to the website, well, I closed it, but there's
Red Nuka, Radio Nuka was saying I was gonna say cup of pee. It does look like a cup of piss, man.
We're on the same page. All right. Cheers.
I mean, it tastes like an IPA.
It really does.
It really does taste like an IPA. So if you want all the taste of an IPA with none of the effects, I mean, go for the fucking
Trail Pass,
the Sierra Nevada Trail Pass IPA. But I mean, listen, if I'm going to deal with the bitterness of an IPA, I better get fucking wasted. All right.
That's true. I am actually pleasantly surprised.
I am very surprised. This is the best tasting non-alcoholic beer I think I've ever had. I mean, it's full body. It's got a lot of flavor, but I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I don't know any situation where I'd be like,
hand me one of those.
Hand me one of those.
Yeah. But you also know that if you go to a party, that's all they got.
Ooh, that's a good question. What has been our favorite beer on stream so far?
Pliny the Elder.
Pliny the Elder. I would say that my favorite beer that we've had on stream is my favorite beer of all time, and that's the Huckleberry Haze, by Golden Road Brewery. You get those. You can get them at Lazy Dog.
That's their. It's made for them by
Golden Road. Right. Yes. I don't know. Is it Golden Road? I don't think it is Golden Road. Golden Road's in San Diego.
No, Golden Road is in LA.
Yeah, so it's not Golden Road. So Huckleberry Haze, you get them from Lazy Dog. You can get 4 packs of them from the restaurant. You can get them on tap as well when you're sitting down. I would highly recommend drinking that.
Golden Road Brewing.
Oh, it is Golden Road. I would highly recommend actually drinking them from the can. They're actually much more flavorful than on the tap.
Why is that? Because that's usually the other way around.
Correct. And I actually brought it up to one of the waiters once, and I was like, have you noticed that this tastes better from a can than on tap? And the waiter looks at me and goes, oh my God, I thought I was the only person. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the carbonation is just kind of contained in there. And when you pop it open, you just get this really, really good, huckleberry aroma that comes from the can, from popping the can or whatever it is. But I do enjoy it more in a can than on tap.
Very interesting.
Yes, that's my favorite beer. We've had it on stream. I would say Pliny the Elder is probably my second favorite.
Oh yeah,
it is an extremely balanced IPA.
I've got one. I'll bring it in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that is a very, very good. That is a very good beer. It's also pretty high in alcohol percentage as well.
Pliny is, I think, 8.
Yeah, 8%.
Yeah, I think.
It's not overly bitter. It's very, very nicely balanced. You can get those at Whole Foods. In a can, they're about what, $9 $9 a bottle.
The retail price.
Oh no, they're like $6.99. Yeah, they're $6.99 a bottle, and it's a bigger bottle. I think what, they're 20 ounce.
No, maybe it is.
Yeah, they're a larger bottle. I would, if you've never tried one, go to any Whole Foods. They're typically in stock, and they are very good.
The thing about Pliny the Elder is that it's, like Devin said, it's perfectly balanced. There's the bitterness, there's the evenness, and it just all comes together perfectly. And
it's a very unassuming bottle as well. It's a brown bottle with a green label with a red circle in the middle of it that says Pliny the Elder.
I'm trying to find the label so I can tell you what the ounces is in the bottle. But for $6.99, you're not going to get a better beer.
Oh no, you won't get a better, and you'll get a really good buzz off of one of them too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 8%. It doesn't even have the label on there that I want. So we don't know, folks. But anyway, yeah, it used to be we couldn't get it here in Ventura County because we were a hole in the distribution area. But recently they started bringing it in, and now we can get it at Whole Foods. And so,
I'm not a huge fan of Guinness. He's Radio Nuka says he's a Guinness man himself. I'm not a huge fan of Guinness. I don't really like stouts. I'm not a huge fan of stout. If you're a big fan of Guinness, you should try, I don't know where you're from, but you should try and find Dogfish 120. Dogfish Head 120. That is a very stouty IPA.
It is it's more almost like a brandy.
Yes, it's very thick. It's also 17% alcohol.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
At least. I am a Guinness guy. Sometimes I just want a Guinness. And the important thing about a Guinness, especially if you go to a bar, is the pour. They've got to pour it correctly.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to go to the Dargan's Irish bar out here in Ventura. Whenever I'm there, I always get a Guinness.
Yeah.
Because they pour it beautifully. It's just cascading in the glass. It's delicious.
Yeah. So Dogfish Head 120 does release at specific times throughout the year. You kind of have to follow their Facebook group, their Facebook page when they announce a Dogfish Head release, and then it's typically in stock for a couple of months, and then it's gone for the rest of the year.
It's been very hard to find in Ventura County, at least for a couple of years now. Very hard to find, but it's out there. You'll find it somewhere. So
yeah, he says he agrees with you 100%. Letting it sit at a bar is essential.
Absolutely is. And it's beautiful. It's mesmerizing because it just moves. The best pour I ever had for a Guinness was at Universal City Walk. And there was a bar there. I don't even remember what the bar was, but I was going there for a meeting and I stopped and I thought I'm going to have a beer first. And the guy poured the Guinness. We poured it perfectly in the glass. I was watching it. It was just beautiful. And then he used the foam to write a G on it on the top. like, that is so freaking cool.
It's like $40, and you're like, all right.
It was worth it. Nice calligraphy. Here's $40. Yeah. Yeah, I understand they're changing City Walk dramatically.
Yeah, it's
hollowing it out and doing something.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to it, but that's sad to see that. I mean, everything's got to change. I have no problem with forward progress, but I don't know what they're going to do with it. I just don't have a clue. So
yeah,
we'll see. I'll miss it either way.
But yeah, those I would highly recommend those 3 beers. 2 are definitely more readily acceptable, findable.
Yeah,
accessible than the other one. But and then the other thing with Dogfish Head 120 is that the flavor profile changes the longer you let it like sit in a dark place.
Absolutely.
I've never had a Dogfish Head 120 that tasted the same.
Nope.
And I have some Dogfish Head that I've had since 2017. That's just been in a dark corner.
I think it's time to bring that out.
And we've had them. I've brought them in.
No, I mean again.
Oh yeah. And every time, every time we open one up, just the flavor profile changes. It'll mellow out, and some flavors will be stronger than others. And sometimes you'll get one that has just a really, really strong molasses note, and it has a very taste of molasses. And I'm just shocked they just don't go bad. They don't lose the carbonation. They don't go bad or anything else, but they do say it ages in the bottle. The flavor profile changes. The alcohol percentage doesn't change. That's all done in the brewing process. Right. So it does the alcohol percentage doesn't increase, but the flavor profile definitely does.
Let me see what the recommended aging for a Dogfish Head is, because can be aged for 1 to 10 years, with the best results seen about 10 years.
Well, we're coming up on that 10-year mark.
Awesome. You'll have to try that and give that a shot. I didn't realize it was that long. I figured it'd be 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
But they suggest 10 years. I got to get me some more bottles. And
I think I have 4 left.
Okay.
I think I have 4 left.
You're way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You can get it readily back east because the brewery is in Maryland.
Yeah.
But out here, it's tough. I've been looking for it because I'll buy it. I don't care. If it's it comes in a 4-pack. And if it's $50, I'm buying it.
I know Dogfish Head's Facebook post. They just posted the little warning label caps just recently. So I think they are going to be.
I'll stay on top of that and see. They have a.
Hey, Radio Nuka, thanks for the follow. I really appreciate that. Helps out a lot.
Very much so. There's a seasonal map that they have at dogfishhead.com that tells you when their beers are coming out. So if you're curious, check that out. And if you like stouts.
Thank you. Have a good one.
They had a stout called the Palo Santos, and I don't think they have it anymore because it was made from this wood that came from South America, and it was the biggest wooden vat in the world. And they made the Palo Santos in that vat, and my God, that beer was great. It was one of my very favorite beers. And every year my sister-in-law's all, you better get some Palo Santos, Scott. It's like, not available. I think they probably had to burn the vat to stay warm. I don't know what
yeah.
But anyway,
I am pleasantly surprised with the Sierra Nevada. This is the best tasting non-alcoholic beer I've ever had.
I'm going to introduce my son to that because he really likes like hop water, and stuff like that. I think he'll really enjoy that. And I'm glad it was
I can't think of an occasion where I would drink this or I would go out searching for it. But like if I was having a party and
you wanted to stay sober,
and I wanted to stay sober or maybe kind of take things slow kind of situation, I might buy that. But
drink a beer, drink one of those, drink a beer.
Of any non-alcoholic beer I've ever had, I would consider buying this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I agree. It had a real beer, a real IPA flavor.
It did have an authentic IPA flavor.
We got to get Mike Thomas in here because I have another can at home, and we'll get Mike.
Dude, I want Mike's opinion on this for sure. And this is Sierra Nevada. He might be able to find this up there.
I'm sure he is. Yeah, sure he can. That's pretty widespread these days.
Yeah,
widely distributed, as they say.
I don't think Mike Thomas is watching the stream today. So
thanks, Mike.
Yeah. I think he had a bit of a evening last night.
Good or bad?
Good, hopefully.
Okay. All right, that's what I wanted to hear. So what else we got for today? Anything else?
I binged watched an anime from last year. It was called Dr. Elise.
That one?
Yes, the royal lady with the lamp. I don't know the lamp reference. I watched the whole series. I didn't quite understand the lamp reference. Very interesting anime. So this anime starts off with our main character getting burned at the stake by
brilliant.
her fiance, and this takes place in kind of, a different world where not quite like ours, right?
Okay.
And she is reborn into our time as a young girl, and she's reborn, and both of her parents end up passing away, and then she ends up becoming a doctor, and a very famous surgeon and doctor. And she is on a plane home, and the plane hits some turbulence, and the plane ends up crashing, and she survives the plane crash, and she begins helping a lot of the passengers that are survived, that are injured on this plane crash. And she's like, she has her medical bag with her, and she's like stapling people shut, and performing all this stuff, and then realizes that she's also mortally injured herself.
Oh.
And she's bleeding profusely, and she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. And then she dies, and then wakes up as the princess again.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And this is, I want to say a year or two before she dies. Now, in her previous life of the princess, she was a bitch. She was very not kind-hearted. She was very rude and disrespectful, and a bitch. And obviously she has this change in personality, and she is engaged to, or set to be engaged to, the king's son. That's her fiance, and she's meeting with the king, and they are talking about this upcoming war that happens. And then she remembers, she's like, oh, when I was alive before, we ended up losing that, and a lot of people were killed, and so on and so forth. And she's like, how can I bring this up without seeming suspicious, And so she mentioned something, and then the king asks her for her opinion, and she goes, I think we would lose that. And he was like, well, why would we lose that? And she goes, oh, well, this neighboring, this neighboring king of this land, or this neighboring baron or whatever, he is looking to be, to be a king, and so on and so forth, of this land. And, I believe that maybe our rival, who we're going to go with who we're going to go against is going to attack, go talk to them, and then they're going to cut us off at this pass, and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, very interesting. That's a very interesting theory, and it ends up, that was true. And then she was talking to the king, because he in her previous life, he died of a mysterious illness. And this world seems to have very advanced medicine, by the way, not as advanced as like as our medicine, but she starts describing, he was like, I've been tired. And she goes, you also have to wake up in the middle of the night and have to pee, and this, and frequently have to pee, and so on and so forth. And she goes, I can't remember what it's called. And then, in her head, she's like, oh, that's diabetes. That's definitely diabetes. She was, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a disease associated with those symptoms, and you should talk to, the viscount, who's a medical genius kind of thing, about this and that. And so he kind of gives the viscount's visiting him for his for his visit for his illness. And the king's attendant mentions, we were told these symptoms can lead, is a sign of so on and so forth. And the guy was like, how can anybody know that? There's only like 20 people that know those symptoms. And they're like, oh my God, this person must be a genius. And then they end up withholding the name of who said it. But so the king and the princess, she's not really a princess. She's engaged to the fiance. She asked the king to break off the engagement because she wants to become a doctor and save people's lives. And the king goes, well, I'll make a wager with you. If you become a more valuable asset as a doctor than you would be as the empress, then I will nullify the engagement. You have till you're coming of age, which is like 6 months or something like that, to pass the doctor's exam. And, and if you do that, then we'll do that. We'll call it off. So she gets sent off to a hospital to apprentice. And this hospital is not like a rundown hospital, but like, the doctor, the attending doctor there, who's going to be, looking over her apprenticeship, he's like, oh, that's fucking, it's probably some noble woman that, doesn't know what she's doing. And she's going to end up, running out the first day. I'm just going to put her in this ward and, hopefully get her to quit soon off. And so he's like interviewing her, beforehand. And he goes, as a doctor, you're going to lose lives during an operating, when you're operating. How does that make you feel? And she looks down and then she looks up and goes, I would etch that person's name into my heart so I'd never forget them. And the doctor's like, holy shit, that's a fucking proper answer, like that's a proper answer. And so she ends up, the doctor's like, this is our ward where patients, they have a little chance of survival. And so she goes, well, do we tend to their illnesses, or do we just make them comfortable until they die? And he's like, what the fuck? Like,
never heard that concept.
Who is the? Well, no, they knew the concept. He just wasn't expecting that
from her.
That question from her, because that's a proper question a doctor would ask.
Yeah.
And so he was like really surprised. And so she ends up, cleaning, because it was very dirty and grimy in there. And she's like, we have to clean this place because cleanliness is most important to, a hospital. We need to make sure these people are comfortable and clean. And then she realizes that one of the patients in there is extremely uncomfortable, and he has severe bed sores because he's been laying down so long, to where it's starting to go necrotic. And so she, the doctor leaves and goes, don't do anything out of your realm of understanding.
Little does he know.
And so she realizes that this area needs to be removed, the necrotic tissue and all this other stuff. So she rushes this dude to surgery and performs surgery on him right then and there. And the nurses are like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on, And so, the doctor's astounded, and he's like, is this person like a true genius? Like, this is amazing.
A savant almost.
Yes. So obviously, but she has all of her memory from, being in our world as a surgeon, as a famous surgeon. So more things happen. And the fiance is visiting this town where, per the king's orders, where she is at. And he has an item that allows him to change his appearance. They can only do it so many times, but he has this unique item that can change his appearance. And his bodyguard ends up getting shot. And it ruptures his spleen. And in this world, that's pretty much a death sentence,
Sure.
And so the doctor is like, there's nothing we can do for him. He's going to bleed out. And he holds up his imperial crest, is like, we will do anything, I will do anything to fix this man. And she goes, I can save him, and so the doctor's like, well, how are you going to save this man? She's like, well, remove his spleen. And he's like, how the fuck are you going to remove the spleen? Like, there's all kinds of, nerves and blood vessels and this and that. And she's like, we'll remove it at the base where the two main vessels are at, and we'll seal it off, and then we'll do this and that. So she ends up performing this surgery, and she writes up the surgery, and the doctor's like, this is the messiest handwriting I've ever seen in my entire life.
A real doctor.
It's a real doctor. And this surgery has never been done in this world, as splenectomy, and it has never been done in this world before. And so it's, making headway about this, and the guy makes a full recovery. And a lot of other stuff happens in between. But
what if he would have died? That would have screwed her up big time.
Oh, yeah, he would have died. And then so the next major event was quite a distance away, but they were at the king's birthday, and one of her, I guess, rivals when she was a bitch, was there, and she's obviously a lot kinder now because she's a different person.
Right.
And she ends up getting a fever. The rival gets a fever, and she kind of attends to her in another room and helps her through because she like passed out from this dance or whatever. But this older woman comes in to say, hey, they're making a big announcement. You guys should probably, you guys need to come out now. And as the woman's trying to walk away, her leg is like shaking. And she's like, I think that woman has Parkinson's disease. And if memory serves me right, she ends up dying from choking on something, because people with Parkinson's have difficulty swallowing.
Right.
And so, that was obviously a hint of what was going to happen, not next, but at another party. So she was at another, and this is when she was at the apprenticeship, she was going by the name Rose, and not her name, Elise Florence or whatever her name was.
Is that because she's trying to stay undercover? Or just
Correct. She's trying to stay, low profile, basically.
Her cover then.
Yeah, low profile. And so at another party, this Baroness is choking on something, and she tries to do the Heimlich, and she can't get the food out. So she ends up performing a crude tracheotomy. And she goes through and finds the incision and finds the area, cuts, puts a straw in there so she could breathe. And then, but now, the guards think this woman just stabbed this Baroness in the neck.
Oh, they don't understand.
And then the king doesn't want her to succeed. The king wants her to become an empress. And the king's attendant, he's also kind of being a douche as well. And at that announcement, by the way, to backtrack, they stated, that they announced that she was going to be engaged to the prince. And she was like, is he going back on his deal and all this other shit? So that kind of threw a wrench into things as well. But so she does this tracheotomy on this woman. So now she's being held. I can't remember what they call it, but she's being held to house arrest, basically. And they're like, man, if we can find out that she didn't do something right or she made a slight mistake, we could basically force her to leave the apprenticeship and become the empress, or even have her arrested for this, So they have the doctor that she's apprenticing under doesn't know it was her that did this. And then the Viscount, who's also one of the top doctors in the nation, and they were like, were there any errors in what she did? And they were like, the Viscount is like, oh my God, this was a perfect fucking thing. No one's ever heard of this before. This was absolutely amazing. Everything was perfect. The incision was amazing with the tools that she had and this, and that. And they were like, fuck,
damn it. We were going to get her.
And then they were like, well, we have to award her with something now. And we have to take her out of house arrest. Obviously we have to award her with something because she's just saved a baroness's life. And so they end up, awarding her with this something of the red rose, which no woman has ever received before, and all kinds of stuff. Honor. It was a big, massive deal and stuff like that. So moving forward, we're getting closer to the end now, and they're at a party for the king, and the king is drinking, and the king's son, her fiance, brings him another drink of alcohol, and he goes to drink it. And all of a sudden, he's like, oh my God, what is going on? And then he coughs up blood and collapses. Well, he's having a heart attack. So he's having a heart attack. Elise sees that he's having a heart attack, stabilizes him, but he's in shock. And so they end up attending to him. The fiance, his son, gets arrested for thinking they poisoned his dad.
Did he actually drink the? It
wasn't poison. So I
know, but did he actually drink it to make him think that?
Yes.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, he drank the drink and then coughed up blood and then collapsed. So obviously they think he's been poisoned.
Right.
But the king's not stabilizing. His condition is worsening, but they cleared the heart attack, but his condition's worsening and all this other stuff. And so Elise can't figure out what's wrong. And I figured it out immediately. I was like, I bet it's this. And even Letitia was like, that sounds like that. And I was like, yeah, we should be doctors.
Should be you in that world.
So she can't figure it out. And then there's an opposing faction within this royal line that wants another prince to be king. And so they start spreading rumors around that the prince, poisoned his dad and so on, as to bring the favorite, favoring of one prince up and the down. And she ends up figuring out that he may have a blood clot. And so she calls in her fiance to say, hey, I think we can save your dad, but the chances of survival is low if that's not the issue. We can operate on him, but just, I have to get your consent to do it. And it's really interesting because I was watching the show, obviously dubbed, and he says something in Japanese that didn't match the subtitles. And, he said, the subtitle said, I trust you. But what he said in Japanese was, I trust that my father won't die in your hands.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because dying, shinderu is dying in Japanese, and he definitely said that. But so she goes to do the surgery, and she cuts the chest open, and the doctors are watching this procedure, right? and they're like, oh my God, her fucking strokes are amazing and all this other shit. And this is absolutely stunning of what she's doing. And she opens up the vessels and she doesn't see this clot. And she's like, oh my God, there's not a clot here. And they're like, well, do we stitch him back up? She's like, no, I need to check the other vessels. Well, she finds the blood clot in the aortic artery of the heart. And so she removes that clot. And when she's removing that clot, she sees another, like a lymph node in the blood vessel. And she's like, is this lymphoma? She's like, this here could have been causing the diabetic episodes and so on and so forth. So she removes that as well. The king makes a full recovery. And this is the surgery was the night before she had to take the physician's exam.
Okay.
And they also made the physician's exam much harder than it had been in the past because they obviously want her to fail.
Want her to fail, yeah.
So she goes to take this physician's exam and she looks at the first question. She's like, this is almost word for word of what the exam I took in my old world. She's like, this is very similar to the NPAM exam. So she goes through the exam and they're going over her test results and she got a 90 out of 100. And the only reason, the two that she got wrong was like, how do you identify the common cold and how do you identify pneumonia? And she got those wrong because they couldn't read her writing.
Of course.
It was marked incorrect.
Of course, yes.
So she passes the exam. So yeah, that was pretty much
the whole series at that point?
That's the whole series. Literally, I just told you guys the whole series.
Did you binge the whole thing?
I binged the whole thing in one night.
Apparently.
I did like it. I like those kind of medical-ish, mystery-ish kind of shows. And, you know, I found it very interesting for how advanced they are in medicine, but like other technological advances, they're not.
Yeah.
You know, they still have like horse-ridden carriages and, you know, the guy pulled out a revolver, which kind of shocked me as well because they're using swords and, you know, things like that. So it was very weird the technology that they had. Yeah. You know, like, you know, this is very medieval times-esque.
Kind of pick and choose.
Kind of picking. It was very odd. Yeah. The medical advancements that they have made, where they know what diabetes is and all this other stuff. So
scattershot history is what.
It was very scattershot. I didn't mind it. It wasn't immersion breaking or anything else like that. It was a very enjoyable show. And then
it's not like somebody told them to go to WebMD.
Yeah. You know, so very, very fun show. I enjoyed it very much.
Well, speaking of fun shows, I missed last night's episode of Sakamoto.
Well, there isn't any. It's over.
Is it over?
Yeah, it's over.
Then which was the casino episode was not the last one, right? There's one more.
The where they finished the casino?
Well,
there was a casino episode, and then there was two casino episodes.
I have not seen the second casino episode. So
okay,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, where they had to go head to head with.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Okay, so I got to see that one.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, the first casino episode was one of my favorites of the whole series.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think that was the last one. That may have been the last one.
Oh, well, then I've seen them all. If that's the case. It didn't feel like it ended, though. It felt like there was more coming.
Well, there's definitely more coming. I think it got announced for either summer anime or the following.
We'll have to do some research on that because I really do enjoy that show. That show's just
fun. That show's fun.
It
really is a fun show.
Yeah. All right, so we done here?
I think we're done for today.
All right, folks. So
we got 2 minutes left for an hour, and that'll be our commercial end breaks.
Yep, close enough. What's going on this week? You got anything going on? You working this week?
I work on Tuesday. So I work on Tuesday, and then
Crow's Pest Solutions.
Yeah, Crow's Pest Solutions. So I have some jobs on Tuesday, and then the rest of the week, I'm clear.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're going to go see The Amateur tomorrow, the new Rami Malek movie.
Oh, nice.
Shelly and I are going to go see that. Looking forward to that. Like I said, there's a movie out at least every week now, maybe more than one movie that I want to see. It's going to be great for the next couple of months with really good movies. So stay tuned. And hopefully Minecraft is a sign that people are going to go to the movies and see things.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good movies coming. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Brought to you by The Grape, Ventura County's premier jazz venue and cocktail lounge, located at 2733 East Main Street in Ventura. For menu and music schedule, visit them online at thegrape.club. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.